Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Fur, and I am a high school health science teacher. For my research, I chose to do credentials and work-based learning. So both of these are very important for health science courses because they have proven essential in preparing students for the healthcare field in itself. They combine both classroom instructions with real-world experiences and skills, just two things you cannot just learn within the classroom that really need to expand on the content themselves. So the healthcare field is in a very high demand. So my job in itself is to help prepare students who are looking to go down the healthcare field um, to be able to provide an employer for what they're looking for. Usually, when a healthcare employer is looking for, they're looking for individuals who are technically knowledge, so they have all the content knowledge that is needed for that healthcare field. But they're also looking for the student or employer to have really good professional skills, and have a lot of hands-on experiences. So this is where the credentials and the work-based learning really come into play, where they help the student be able to be a high candidate for that employer. So, in the past, health science was taught primarily from textbooks and lectures. Um, that is very important for healthcare and the health sciences courses. Students really need to know the knowledge, they need to know the content, but they also need a lot more skills and being able to expand on that knowledge, just not being able to memorize the knowledge. So that is where credentials and work-based learning come into play. So today, within the health science courses, some credentials that can be offered are CPR, first aid, basic life support, stop the bleed. All of these do demonstrate skills that students have learned. They take the time, they learn the content, they practice the skills. They become very proficient in those skills, and then they go on and earn credentials that can be used to help benefit them in the future, whether it be for an employer, for post-secondary learning, anything like that. It just shows that, hey, the student understands the content, understands the skills, is very proficient in it, and they have something to show for that. Next is the work-based learning. This allows students to work alongside healthcare professionals. It helps them, allows them to make connections. So if they do graduate, they could either reach back out to this employer or kind of people who have worked alongside the profession that they did the work-based learning in, and they can show, hey, I've done this, I've done these hands-on skills. This is what I can do for you. It also helps them develop skills that they just simply cannot learn within the classroom. I can teach them the content, I can teach them the skills, but a lot of times in the healthcare field, it's a lot of learning in itself. Problem solving. Problem solving is something that's really big in healthcare. You never know what you're going to walk into when a patient is there. So being able to solve a problem quickly and efficiently is something they have to work on alongside someone else, pretty much. Another thing that they can learn from these work-based learning opportunities is professionalism. They see how another professional works with the patient, how they talk with the patient, how they take care of the patient. That's just sometimes something that just can't be learned within the classroom. Um, so those two, the credentials and the work-based learning, like I said, they're what I did my research on. So I found a lot of impacts that they do make. Starting off with socially, credentials and work-based learning help provide for a more diverse healthcare workforce. It takes students who may have different backgrounds gain opportunities that they may not have even known existed without the health science classes. So in the past, health science classes did not offer credentials. They did not offer work-based learning. Like I said, it was just textbooks and lectures. So if students were interested in that, they used to have to go out and find their own job shadowings or apprenticeships, internships, clinicals that they wanted to do. Usually through connections that they already had, whether it's if they knew the person, if a family or friend knew another individual who worked in the workplace, or from parents who have worked in the workplace. Now it's incorporated into the content itself, so that students have those opportunities. Same thing with credentials. Students used to have to go out to get their own CPR credentials, spend their own money on the credential. Now it's incorporated into the content. That way they can have that opportunity and save that time and money in the future. Next, you have economically, credentials and work-based learning help with the healthcare shortage and that high demand. So by preparing the students for what the employer is looking for, helps cut down on the time spent for training that employee. So employers love to see that. They love when they can save time, they can save money, and they can just get students either from post-graduation or post-secondary graduation that's ready to go, ready to jump into that high demand workforce. Next, you have educationally. Students tend to be more engaged with learning when it involves them doing skills. Yes, the content is very important. Having them know the knowledge, there will be lectures, but having them do that hands-on work, practicing those skills, really helps keep them engaged. They also do take really good pride in getting that credential. Every time I've given a credential, students are always, if they have earned it and we're very proficient, they bug me, hey, when are we getting it? When are we getting it? So they do take pride in earning those credentials. And lastly, you have politically. So with the work-based learning and the credentials, it takes education and helps them collaborate with healthcare organizations. So you have to do the work-based learning somewhere. Sometimes credentials come through organizations. Sometimes the organization sends people out to help give that credential. So that all has to be collaborated together. By doing this, when individuals do graduate, the organizations are there to connect with those students to bring them into their work field or their post-secondary learning to help get them into their workplace in itself through those collaborations. So ways I would want to incorporate more credentials or more work-based learning. One, I like to offer all credentials that are listed within the curriculum to my students. I want to give them all the opportunities they can. Not to say that every student's going to be proficient. Not just handing these credentials out all willy-nilly. They do have to know the content. They have to be very proficient in the skill. They have had to practice and practice and practice. They have to know what scenario to use them in. It's not always going to be the same. So by knowing when to use it, by knowing how to use it, that's how students can get that credential. And by me as the educator, giving them those skills and that practice and that feedback and allowing them to have that opportunity. Two, I would like to increase the simulations used. We have a lot of technology today in our health science classes. So by using simulations, it can help create and gain confidence within those students by giving them patient scenarios. What would you do here? What would you do differently here? Giving them good feedback and having them practice everyday skills that they're going to learn and use within the healthcare field. Taking vital signs, documenting charts, stuff like that, being very proficient in that and having that ready and a skill that they can use within that workplace or that post-secondary can really help them in the future. And three is expanding on the work-based learning opportunities through partnerships in local healthcare facilities. Right now, the school I am at, we really work with two main organizations, and then usually have like the fire department come in for stop and bleed. So that very limits the connections we have, which also kind of limits the connections students can have. So they really only know one organization. So when it comes to graduation, they only know where to go from there. Um, but with health science, it's kind of interesting because there's many different pathways they can take. They don't necessarily have to graduate and go straight into nursing or medical assistant. There's many ways they can go, and I would like to be able to expand their knowledge on that. So students do gain a lot of benefits from credentials and work-based learning. I've touched on a lot of them here and there throughout this presentation. But some of the main ones I would like to point out are that students come out of health science with a lot of confidence, especially if they have the knowledge, the skills, the credentials, the work-based learning in itself. They have confidence that, hey, I can go into a place, I can use this knowledge I have and the skills I have and get the job done. Healthcare professionals really they need that confidence because you don't want to walk into a patient's room and not be confident in your skill. And then have a patient that's already nervous be more nervous because they can tell that the healthcare provider just isn't confident. Confidence is key being a healthcare professional. Another thing, students can save a lot of money and time. Um, with the credentials in itself, like I said, they can help with getting them into a job with an employer because the employer can see that, oh, they have this skill. I can go ahead and get them started and not have to spend time and effort and money in training them. And they can take that credential if they are going to a post-secondary school. They can take that credential and sometimes turn it into a credit and save the time and money there and graduate early and then go ahead and jump into that high demand job workforce in itself. So, as a healthcare educator in itself, I do believe it is our responsibility to be able to extend beyond just teaching the content. I think it's our responsibility to give these students as many opportunity as I can to help prepare them, whether it be for work, whether it be for post-secondary learning, sometimes whether it be for military. The military would love to see individuals who have those skills and ready to just jump on in. So I do think that credentials and work-based learning help prepare students for their future in itself. So I do thank you for your time in listening to why credentials and work-based learning are very important within the health science field.